The Magic Treehouse Book 2, The Night at Dawn by Mary Pope Osborne. Illustrated by Sal Mordaka. Chapter 7, A Secret Passage. Annie and Jack raced back up the winding stairs and down the long hallway. They hadn't gone far when they heard a shouting behind them. Dogs barked in the distance. "They're coming," Annie cried. "In here," said Jack. "In here," said Jack. He shoved open the door of the hallway and pushed Annie into a dark room. Jack pushed the door shut, and Annie shined her flashlight around the room. There were rows of stacked wooden barrels. I'd better look in the book," said Jack. "Give it to me." Annie gave him the flashlight and his backpack. He pulled out the book and stared, tearing through it. "Shh," said Annie. "Someone's coming." Jack and Annie jumped behind the door as it creaked open. Jack held his breath. A light from a torch danced wildly over the sacks and barrels. Stacks of barrels. The light disappeared. The door slammed shut. "Oh, man," whispered Jack. "We have to hurry. They might come back." His hands were trembling as he flipped through the pages of the castle book. "Here's a map of the castle," he said. "Look, this must be the room where we're in. It's a storeroom." Jack studied the room in the book. "These are stacks of flour and barrels of wine." "Who cares? We have to go," said Annie, before they come back." "No, look," said Jack. He pointed at the map. "There's a trap door," he read out loud. "This door leads from the storeroom through a secret passage to a price over the moat." "What's a precipice?" asked Annie. "I don't know. We'll find out," said Jack. "But first we need to find the door." Jack looked at the picture carefully. Then he shined the flashlight around the room. The floor of the room was made up of stones. The trapdoor in the picture was 5 stones away from the door to the hall. Jack shined the light on the floor and counted the stones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He stamped on the 5th stone. It was loose. He put the flashlight on the floor. He worked his fingers under the thin sheet of stone and tried to lift it. "Help," Jack said. Annie came over and helped him lift the stone square out of its place. Underneath was a small wooden door. Jack and Annie tugged on the rope handle of the door. The door fell open with a thunk. Jack picked up the flashlight and shined it in the hole. "There's a little ladder," he said. "Let's go." He clipped on the flashlight and felt his way down the small ladder. Annie followed. When they both reached the bottom of the ladder, Jack shined the flashlight around them. There was a tunnel. He crouched down and began moving through the damp, creepy tunnel. The flashlight barely lit the stone walls. He shook the light. Were the batteries running down? "I think our light is dying," he said to Annie. "Hurry!" She called from behind. Jack went faster. His back hurt from crouching. The light got dimmer and dimmer. He was desperate to get out of the castle before the batteries died completely. Soon he reached another small wooden door. The door at the end of the tunnel. Jack unlatched the door and pushed it open. He poked his head outside. He couldn't see anything. in the misty darkness. The air felt good, cool and fresh. He took a deep breath. "Where are we?" whispered Annie behind him. "What do you see?" "Nothing, but I think we've come to the outside of the castle," said Jack. I'll find out." Jack put the flashlight in his pack. He put the pack on his back. He stuck his hand out the door. He couldn't feel the ground, just air. "I'm going to have to go feet first," he said. Jack turned around in the small tunnel. He lay down on his stomach. He stuck one leg out the door, then the other. Jack inched down bit by bit until he was hanging out the door, clinging to the ledge, clinging to the mess. "It must be a precipice," he called to Annie. "Pull me up." Annie reached for Jack's hand. "I can't hold you," she said. Jack felt his fingers slipping down. He fell down through the darkness. Splash! Chapter 8. The Night. Water filled Jack's nose and covered his head. His glasses fell off. He grabbed them just in time. He coughed and flailed his arms. "Jack!" Annie was calling from above. "I'm in the moat," said Jack, gasping for the air. He tried to tread water and put his glasses back on with his backpack, his shoes, and heavy clothes. He could hardly stay afloat. Splash! "I'm here," Annie sputtered. Jack could hear nearby, but he couldn't see her. Which way's land?" Annie asked. "I don't know, just swim." Jack's dog paddled through the cold black water. He heard Annie swimming too. At first it seemed as if she was swimming in front of him, but then he heard a splash behind him. "Annie," he called. "What?" Her voice came from in front, not behind. Another splash. Behind. Jack's heart almost stopped. Crocodiles? He couldn't see anything through the water-streaked glasses. "Annie," he whispered. "What?" "Swim faster." "But I'm here. I'm over here, near the edge," she whispered. Jack swam through the dark towards her voice. He imagined a crocodile slithering after him. Another splash, not far away. Jack's hand touched a wet, living thing. "Ah!" he cried. "It's me. Take my hand," said Annie. Jack grabbed her hand. She pulled him to the edge of the moat. They crawled over an embankment into the wet grass. Safe! Another splash came from the moat waters. "Oh man," said Jack. He was shivering all over. His teeth were chattering. He shook the water off his glasses and put them back on. It was so misty he couldn't see the castle. He couldn't even see the moat, much less a crocodile. We made it," said Annie. Her teeth were chattering too. "I know," said Jack, "but where are we?" He peered at the foggy darkness. Where was the drawbridge, the windmill, the hawk house, the grove of trees, the treehouse? Everything had been swallowed up by the thick, soupy darkness. Jack reached into his wet backpack and pulled out the flashlight. He pushed the switch. No more light. They were trapped, not in a dungeon, but still in the cold darkness. "Nee!" A horse's whinny. Just then the clouds parted. A full moon was shining in the sky. A pool of light spread through the mist. Then Jack and Annie saw him just a few feet away. the night. He sat on a black horse. His armor shone in the moonlight. A visitor hid his face, but seemed to be staring right at Jack and Annie. Chapter 9. Under the Moon. Jack froze. "It's him," Annie whispered. The knight held out his gloved hand. "Come on, Jack," said Annie. "Where are you going?" said Jack. "He wants to help us," said Annie. "How do you know?" "I could just tell," said Annie, and he stepped towards the horse. The knight dismounted. The knight picked Annie up and put her on the back of his horse. "Come on, Jack," she called. Jack moved slowly towards the knight. It was like a dream. The knight picked him up, too. He placed Jack on the horse behind Annie. The knight got on behind him. He slapped the reins. The black horse cantered beside the moonlight water of the moat. Jack rocked back and forth in the saddle. The wind blew his hair. He felt very brave and very powerful. He felt as if he could ride forever on this horse with a mysterious night over the ocean, over the world, over the moon. A hawk shrieked in the darkness. "There was a treehouse," said Annie. She pointed towards the grove of trees. The knight steered the horse towards the trees. "See, there it is," Annie said, pointing to the ladder. The knight brought his horse to a stop. His dismounted and helped Annie down. "Thank you, sir," she said, and she bowed. Then Jack, "Thank you," he said, and he bowed also. The knight got back on his horse. He raised his gloved hand and then slapped the reins and rode off through the mist. Annie started up the ladder. Jack followed. They climbed into a dark treehouse and looked out the window. The knight was riding towards the outer wall. They saw him go through the outer gate. Clouds started to cover the moon again. For a brief moment, Jack thought he saw the knight's armor gleaming on top of a hill beyond the castle. The clouds covered the moon completely, and a black mist swallowed the land. "He's gone," whispered Annie. Jack shivered in his wet clothes as he kept staring at the blackness. "I'm cold," said Annie. "Where's the Pennsylvania book?" Jack heard Annie fumble in the darkness. He kept looking out the window. "I think this is it," said Annie. "I feel a silk bookmark." Jack was only half listening. He was hoping to see the knight's armor gleam again in the distance. "Okay, I'm going to use this," said Annie, "but I think it's the right one. Because I think it's the right one. Here goes. Okay, I'm pointing. I wish I could go to Frog Creek." Jack heard the wind begin to blow softly at first. "I hope I pointed to the right picture in the right book," said Annie. "What's a Jack? What?" Jack looked back at her. Right picture, right book. Right picture, right book." The treehouse began to rock. The wind got louder and louder. "I hope it wasn't the dinosaur book," said Annie. "Stop!" Jack shouted at the treehouse. Too late. The treehouse started to spin. It was spinning and spinning. The wind was screaming. Then suddenly there was silence. Absolute silence. Chapter 10. One mystery solved. The air was warm. It was dawn. Far away, a dog barked. "I think that's Henry barking," said Annie. "We did come home. They both looked out the treehouse window. That was close, said Jack in the distance. Street lights lit the street. There was a light on in their upstairs window. Uh-oh, said Annie. I think Mom and Dad are up. Hurry! Wait! In a daze, Jack unzipped his backpack. He pulled out the castle book. It was quite wet, but Jack placed it back with the other books. Come on, hurry, said Annie, scooting out of the treehouse. Jack followed her down the ladder. They reached the ground and took off between the gray-black trees. They left the woods and ran down their deserted street. They got to their yard and crept across the lawn, right up to the black door. Jack and Annie slipped inside the house. They're not downstairs yet, whispered Annie. Shh, said Jack. He led the way up the stairs and down the hall. No sign of his mom and dad, but he could hear water running in the bathroom. Their house was so different from the dark, cold castle, so safe and cozy and friendly. Annie stopped at their bedroom door. She gave Jack a smile, then disappeared into her room. Jack hurried into his room. He took off his damp clothes and put on his dry, soft pajamas. He sat down on his bed and unzipped his backpack. He took out his wet notebook. He felt around for a pencil, but his hand touched something else. Jack pulled the blue leather bookmark out of his pocket. It must have fallen out of the castle book. Jack held the bookmark close to his lamp and studied it. The leather was smooth and worn. It seemed ancient. For the first time, Jack noticed a letter on the bookmark, a fancy M. Jack opened the drawer next to his bed. He took out the gold medallion. He looked at the letter on it. It was the same M. Now this was amazing new fact. Jack took a deep breath. One mystery solved. The person who had dropped the gold medallion in the time of the dinosaur was the same person who owned all the bookmarks in the treehouse. Who was this person? Jack placed the bookmark next to the medallion. He closed the drawer. He picked up his pencil and turned into the least wet page his notebook, and he started to write down this new fact. The same. But before he could draw the M, his eyes closed. He dreamed that they were with the night again, all three of them riding the black horse through the cool dark night, beyond the outdoor wall of the castle and up a moonlit hill into the mist. And we finished The Night at Dawn Magic Treehouse.